Welcome back into Coffee and Chel. Today's video, we are going to go over some fantasy updates as well as the new team of the week and kind of the content that we've got as a whole, which I actually think to some degree has been far improved. And then new chase cards and what the new chase cards are compared to years past, like the old Power Up Icons and X Factor. So let's start at the top. Fantasy updates. Timothy Little Chagrin for my Sharks is on IR. He was day-to-day, but it does look like he is going to miss a few. So heads up there for any of the people that are fantasy owners of Timothy Liljegren. You're going to be without a shot at him getting a goal. I still think that his price on the auction house is absolutely absurd. And I was talking about this in my Discord. It's so funny to me because it is extremely evident that the people that spent money or the guys that have 3 million coins, like if the people that where their enjoyment is they just work the market and they don't even play the game. There's a lot of them out there actually. And their entirety of their fun is to just get as much coins as possible, build the best team, and that's it. When we had that issue with the fantasy cards where they could be pulled in packs for about 3 hours, and literally the stock on the auction house tripled, almost quadrupled in terms of the amount of fantasy cards that actually hit the market, it's so evident that it's the same 10 people buying the cards and then relisting them for like 2 million. Like, I see the prices in the auction house for fantasy items, and they're all roughly around 1 million coins outside of some of the less sought after ones, right? So Letang would be one, for example. And it's so funny to me because no normal player is ever going to buy that. But you'll see that there's a few that get listed. Here's what I think is happening. And I talked to some of the richest people in my Discord that have 1 million coins, and all I did was get laughs because I think I'm onto something here. Basically, what'll happen is all of the whales are just waiting for a card to go down to like 900,000 coins, and they buy it, and then they try to relist it for 1 million, and they're just trying to. That's all that's happening. Like, there's no one actually saving up coins as a normal player and then actually going and getting the fantasy card that you want. And if there is, it's a very small amount. So it's so funny to me when I see the auction house prices because it's literally just the same 10 people buying each other's cards over and over again and trying to slightly get a profit margin there. But Liljegren, I've said his price is hilarious to me. As a Sharks fan who watches all of the games, like, he is not hitting 99. And sure, he could luck into some goals. As could anyone that literally steps over the boards in a hockey game. But even without the injury, there was probably a strong possibility that just he wasn't going to be a big focal point of the team. He wasn't last year, and who knows, he might end up getting traded. I have no idea. I don't think he's a future of the team. So, anyways, just want to point him out. There's a few others as well, but for the most part, that was the big one that I wanted to hint at or a highlight because he is now injured. New team of the week card. So we got new team of the week. I haven't got an answer for this, but I don't know what their parameters are for team of the week. It comes out on Wednesday. I don't think it's Wednesday to Tuesday in terms of the cycle. Like, in terms of their performance. I think it's literally just like Sunday to Sunday, the prior week. Because no Nathan McKinnon, no Pavel Dorofeev. I know he got an event card, but they do it with master set items. It's not like they care that, like, oh, we already got this one card, so we can't do it again. Like, you already have, you've done it 1 million times. No Malkin. Like, there was a ton of options, and we got Matt Boldy, who had a pretty good week, and we also got some other weird options as well, like Orlov got one for having 3 assists in 3 games, which, sure, that was cool, but just don't really get it, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. But the old days, it was essentially just the top 3 of the week in the NHL, and I actually wouldn't mind that because you could get more excited about it. But then again, it's probably them just trying to highlight the lesser-known players or the lesser-rewarded players because the other guys are going to get their flowers. That being said, Matt Boldy's card, not nearly the same as Tage Thompson's in terms of must-make. I do think Star of the Month is coming, probably at the end of this month, so the beginning of November, and you will more than likely have to make multiple 86s to trade in for the Star of the Month card. So if you made Tage Thompson, he's just one of the best cards anyways, so you're fine. Matt Boldy is not a must-make unless you have enough resources by doing the Team of the Week objectives and all of that, and you want to try and get a Star of the Month card, you could justify it, but Boldy I just don't think is worth it. I do want to say, though, that going through the content every day, like I have for the last 6 years, there has never been an NHL game where the content is more useful for the lesser overall. So There is a bunch of cards from last night's, from yesterday's like Team of the Week and just release in general from the marquee sets and all of that that are in the lower 80s, but they're very useful. So, I just thought that that was interesting, and I think that they've done a pretty good job of kind of highlighting some of the lesser known players. So Elias Lindholm, for example, is a great center option. I believe he also works with a line combo. The line combos, I'm sorry, guys, it's hard to keep them in my head without seeing them. I believe there's one that where you can activate with Macklin Celebrini. I remember when I was trying to get him in the lineup, I needed to have a Bruin, or maybe it was just a Swede. I apologize, I can't remember, but I know that Lindholm was base card was the one I used, and his card at 83 overall is actually stellar. So heads up there. I think that might actually be interesting. Same with Alexi Protas, really good card. And as a capital, can fit into a bunch of different things as well. So Niels Lundqvist can be paired with Miro Heiskanen if you're still using his captain card. Like the line combos make these lesser cards much more viable, much more interesting. In years past, again, this is such revisionist history. When they went down to 6 cards for Team of the Week, it was like, man, come on. Because now it's just far less content. We used to get a full team, right? If you were to go back and watch my Team of the Week reviews of all of the cards from a Team of the Week, the full 20 roster player, maybe 2 of them are usable. And I'm talking like not even on a hardcore players team, just like in general. They were just whatever the last card was, +1 or +2 overall from that. So if they were an 81, they would get an 83. Like it was very boring and very bland. There is some thought in terms of like what cards are being given out. I do wish there was more like strict parameters. Like I said, the Team of the Week is kind of silly when you consider that like there were so many better players that had a better time. Like Matthew Schaefer could have been one for setting the record for starting his career being 18 years old and getting 3 points in 3 games. Like that was a 3-game point streak. That's a record. Could have been a little bit more recognized. I know we got a marquee card, but you could have just made him a Team of the Week because you can kind of make those. And then new chase cards. So again, this year is a big transition year. And we're so stuck on how things have worked over the last decade. And I think that our complaints and a lot of the content over the last 2 years is that it's not working like it used to. And in some instances, that's bad because it just worked better before. But in some instances, like, hey, it's different. It's changed, right? And I try to really grasp that, okay, when giving criticism and whatnot. But the new chase cards, guys, work in like 2-week cycles. So I'll give you an example. Last year, we got chase cards, but they were literally just there because they didn't have an alternative and they didn't know what to do with them. So like icons, for example, were just like, you made them, they cost way too much. We treated them as the most expensive and best cards in the game at the beginning of the season. That's why it was so expensive to make them. But in reality, they shouldn't have been expensive at all because they didn't upgrade them at all really throughout the year. There was no rhyme or reason to them. And if we were to price them based on their value, what they would have ended up being would have been a fraction of the price. Fraction of the price. Like it costs like almost $2 million to make a power-up icon at launch. Some power-up icons didn't even hit 99. Right? Same thing goes with Team of the Season and all of that stuff, right? So that being said, the chase cards are what was always super expensive because we know we have them year-round. What's happening now is we know there's no chase cards other than fantasy, right? So Burns' Milestone comes out, okay? And that card is worth like $500,000. Even I saw one up for $1 million. And what's crazy is that someone will probably pay that because a line combo came out. He fits that. It's obviously made for him. And the the Minnesota Wild version is great. It is a great card, one of the better ones in the game. And he fits a line combo. So it's crazy. We have to realize that because the one thing, though, with that, and again, this time next month, when the season ticks over into season 2, I am nervous for the... I'm not trying to make this dramatic. As a content creator, obviously I want as much of the player base to be playing the game as possible, but I'm also very, very clear in that if you're not having fun, please don't play the game. Like, it's that's silly, right? There is a big point at which they can push a lot of the player base away from sheer exhaustion of chasing whatever the cards are, right? So the better example might be that Artem Guriev card. So the weekend comes out, and it's Makar, Lindros, the great content release in relative terms to years past, right? Great content release. I loved it. No complaints at all. But you see what happens when there's a new line combo, and there's really only one that like fits that's clearly good, and we didn't even view the card as even somewhat usable prior to it. Guriev goes for more than McDavid. More than almost triple what McDavid was costing. That Guriev card for the first 2 days was going for 300,000 coins. And what I think we need to realize is that when these cards come out, we're obviously frustrated because if you don't spend money, the odds that you're going to be able to buy them in the first place is 0. But on top of that, even if you wanted to, they're not pullable. So you've got to spend money to make coins to then buy the card you want. But it is very evident that they know what they're doing. And I told you guys that there would be a Philadelphia defenseman that will come out that will alleviate the fact that Guriev is the best one, because it's also clearly their business model. The chase cards were a ticket to print money at the beginning of the season. I remember I told you guys, I'm like, I don't understand why we get rid of them, because the whales would be like, what do I even spend my money on? This is the stuff they spend their money on. So Guriev comes out, and then we got the names escape me, Igor Zamula, I believe, from the Flyers. And I actually think I have his Young Gun card, which is funny. He comes out. I knew it would happen, right? And then Guriev's price tanks, right? And that's what's going to happen. That's the cycle. So we have to, when we can't afford a new card for the new hotness, just chill. Like, the prices will tank just because people will get bored of them. And you have to really make sure that you want the player, because knowing that they will just release new ones, because they're very clear on that. So another thing I'm doing now that my subathon is over, there's a couple things I need to do. One, I will be making a strategies video, and it will be extremely in-depth. It's always my most in-depth video. It takes me about 20 hours to make. I get clips for everything. Very hard to get specific clips sometimes about like strategies I'm trying to show you, because it could be like something that happens once every 10 games, but I need to show you so that you're aware of it. So it takes me a very long time. I mean, I'm always really proud of those videos, but my subathon, I didn't want to spend 10 hours a day while doing it, right? No money spent. I legit didn't do it last week because the subathon timer was at 2 hours every time, and I didn't want to do that. So I missed last week. I'll do a huge catch up, and then it will be probably bi-weekly, multiple episodes a week. And then lastly, I think I'm going to do a deep dive into line combos and go over, I think, I'll be honest with you, the only worthwhile line combos that you should be chasing. I mean, what I mean by chasing is like, okay, I'm trying to get this completed because this is worth it. Is +2 overall, +5 AP, +3 AP can be argued, and then +5 million salary, right? So I'm going to break down all those, and then I'm going to go do a deep dive, do some homework, and I'm going to look at all of the options, the top 5 options. The thing is, it might impact the market. That's a fear of mine, but the information's already there. Like, it's not like I'm creating a new line combo that you can put together. If someone just went and looked, this stuff's probably already very expensive, and I don't think it would move the needle on a lot of them. That's why I'm going to give you like 4 options for each one, because I think that for newer players that can't afford the top-end content, the game is revolving so fast. I just said the new chase cards, literally it lasts like 2 weeks, right? So for the new player, you might not know, and what we said a month ago to go chase after is not really worth doing anymore. So I think I'm going to do that. Let me know what you think in the comment section of this video. If you think that would be a good idea, bad idea, just leave it alone. But anyways, let's get into yesterday's content. It was actually 2 days ago, so I apologize. Again, yesterday, my subathon ended. I needed to sleep. Today, I had to go be a dad and take care of the house because I wasn't able to the last month. So, did all that. Cut the grass, everything. Oh, it was great. Put everything away for the wintertime. I miss doing that stuff. So, I do want to talk about this one right here. This comment, actually, I have to move it down, so I apologize. I'm going to do this live here. Yep, here we go. Because this was the most liked comment. And I always like getting comments that are critical of like stuff I say, because it's the only way that I get constructive criticism and actually grow. So I get people that complain and bitch at me all the time, but when there's 30 likes on a video, you got to pay attention. So Fire says, Sleeves kind of contradicts himself in the way of line boost and chemistry. For the last month, it's been, we need a whole bunch of line combos released so we can have a bunch of different options. Then they go and release 10 to 15 combos with a bunch of good players, and Sleeves is freaking out, saying people are now disinterested because they have to switch their teams. In regards to next season, everybody knows they're refreshing all the line combos, and everyone knows the risk of making all of these cards, and then they lose their combos in the next season. For the people who aren't chasing the meta, that was one of the best releases of the year, being able to have another 2 combos that can get +2 and other overall salary combos. So, completely agree. I think that adding combos, no matter what, is going to make the game better. Here is where I would like to reiterate my point on why I think this is going to be a pain point. Okay. One, You don't realize how much of the player base doesn't go to YouTube or Twitch or Reddit or Facebook. It is 90% of the entire player base. A lot of them, if you were to pull the random ones, they have no idea that their line combos are going to be reset. Secondly, when they get a new card, when they go and seek out a new card, let's say they build Lindros, right? They spend everything they have no idea that he is going to lose his +2 overall when the new line combo switch over if Lindros does not get a new line combo that he can fit into. Secondly, the issue is, again, the chase cards come out, you can't participate. So, yes, for the meta player, sometimes this is for the hardcore. So, I think the problem I have is that my audience, I'm blessed, is very large, and it hits on all different demographics of the amount that play. And I try to hit on them all, and sometimes my wording and my thought process gets really jumbled up, and it ends up in situations like this. So, the hardcore players that do not spend money, like myself, I can only speak on my own experience, okay? I had enough saved and enough stuff over a month of me playing, a month, where I could make Lindros, McDavid, Gartner, right? Which is exceptional when you think about it. That is a lot. That is an absolute ton to be able to make them immediately. The problem is that they fit into a line combo. Everything on my team changed. So the last month I spent building the best cards available. Okay, the best cards available, right? All changed at a drop of the hat with new line combos. And the issue isn't more line combos. The issue is line combos come out randomly. If 50 line combos came out at the beginning of the season and we had 70 days to play with all of them that you see, and obviously they could release new ones as it goes along, then you could build your team with freedom of knowing that they're not going to become obsolete or because of the salary cap, which I know is going to be an issue. You can't make the team that you want to make in Ultimate Team. That's where that was my frustration. Okay, so having new line combos, it is literally the most exciting part of content for me. I legitimately think it is the most exciting part of content for me, being able to actually the Spotlight one came out for Austria that gave +5 million, and I remember sitting with my chat for like 2 hours trying to figure out what the best one was. Awesome, I love that. They know what they're doing. They released a Canadian, or it was an Oiler, Flyer, and Capital. That is clearly meant to be McDavid, Lindros, Gardner, right? So you do that, right? And that's exciting and that's awesome. It's just they're doing it sporadically is going to lead to issues where people get so frustrated that they want to get this new card, but it doesn't work with the lineup they've crafted. And yes, part of it should be, well, now you've got to craft a new lineup. That's fun, and it is. That is what is going to lead to exhaustion of the player base. That 100% that will. And it will happen to you, I'm sure. If you're not chasing the meta, then awesome. Which I would hope that anyone that does not play the game online should not be chasing the meta. You should 100% be chasing your favorite players. If you are someone that plays online and you play online not just because you play a couple games and you have some fun. You play online because that and beating your opponent is the most amount of fun you get from the game, which is, again, for me, like playing a good player and winning is the most fun I will have. Then building and constructing a top-end lineup is important, right? But I don't disagree that more line combos is necessary. I just think that if they're going to release top-end cards and the line combos specifically just fit those, that's clearly a business decision, man. They know what they're doing. It's not like they just... What I think should happen is random country, random team, random event, and they just like literally as a wheel, and they just do that. That might actually be fun. It's like, here's the random line combo of the week, and it's like just random country, random team, random country, or vice versa. I think that'd be hilarious, and it would also be super fresh. There'd be no way to prepare for it, on top of ones that would definitely help with master set players. The other thing here, again, that's frustrating is the event line combos come out at the end of the event. If you don't find that frustrating, the marquee event, you traded in all your cards to make marquee master set items, or you traded them in for other stuff, but you had no idea a line combo was coming. Then a line combo comes, and it allows everyone to actually have a salary cap increase. Like, that isn't frustrating? I'm generally asking. Because if it happened right at the beginning of the event, you could plan for it. There's 82 overalls that are far more viable. I mean, Matt Duchene becomes one of the best cards, right? Like, those are the things that's frustrating to me. That's what's frustrating to me, as my whole setup just absolutely breaks. You know what I mean? So again, I think that you're right. Where I was definitely contradicting myself. I think I wasn't explaining myself correctly. Because there's just so many demographics that follow me, and I get onto a tangent about one that it doesn't impact the other. So, Tuck says sometimes I think as a player base we're too quick to complain. This has 28 likes, second most liked comment. Say the game is dead or EA is useless, etc. I've played 1,000 hours the last 5 years, and I think Hut is 26. Hut in 26 is so far the best of all of them. Lots of content, no broken meta in the game, line combos, and a ton of options to build a team. I'm needing to play less hours than previous years to keep up, which is great. Yeah, some things could improve, but overall I'm happy, and I think we should all take a step back and appreciate it. Oh, man, every video game community needs to just... If you complain that the game is awful, and then proceed to put in 1,000 hours. I don't know how to respond to that because obviously I have lots of complaints. I spent an entire year voicing my complaints, right? But I also understand that like it is what it is, and if I don't like it, I could play something else. Now I've made a career out of it, so there's that. But I don't play it outside of stream, like or when I'm making videos, right? Like I just don't really because there's things I don't like. I'm with you that I don't know how there is an argument that Hut 26's content and just the way that it is run is not more enjoyable than years past. Now, the only comment is going to be, we don't get any rewards. We don't get rewards like we used to, 100%. But prices and the value of coins aren't what they used to. Like, I want you guys to go back and watch a pack opening from NHL 21. And I want you to see what an ultimate pack look like, where you could do rivals untradeable and get 4 ultimate packs, which was the best pack in the game. 4 of them untradeable, but you could take them untradeable, and you would pull maybe 1 purple card, and that purple card is worth nothing in later on in the season, whereas you get sporadic rewards, very little. And I'm not saying rewards are good. I want to make that very clear. They're different. They are very different. You don't get the big save up, build up, release. You get a very slow drip, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize what they're actually earning, throughout the week and things like that. And I think that the player base is having a really hard time accepting that it's different now, and we haven't fully bought into how the game is going to be over the next few years in terms of rewards and things like that. Because you're right, it has never been easier to build a team. It's never been easier to build a team. And do you have to play a lot? Yeah. And if you go back and look at the last few years, you're going to play a ton every year too. I don't remember a year in which people said, man, I barely have to play and I got all this stuff. You would have gotten empty packs. Like they used to love giving out packs where you pulled nothing and they were worth absolutely nothing. Now, guys, you pull a 79, that's 3,000 coins, right? Like that's where I think a lot of people aren't, when it comes to the reward conversation, aren't realizing. And those 3,000 coins are worth far more than 3,000 coins even last year. Right? Because there's less coins in the world. So I do think that a lot of the complaints, the doom and gloom kills me, man. Because unless we see EA come out and say, we've got to make drastic changes to online and things like that. I told you this over the last few videos. They will only make changes if in the background they see sets aren't being done, packs aren't being pulled, games aren't being played. And if you don't see a change, because the loud minority, which is myself included, are complaining about something, and we don't see a change, it's because the rest of the player base either A, doesn't care about what we're saying, or B, they're still playing it. Like, they're still getting enjoyment. It's just the hardcores aren't. That's what I've realized, right? Like, and it's just... So, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but there's a lot of the time. That's why I've been very adamant that if you really don't like the game, like it is causing you physical anger and adding stress to your life. And I'm being serious here. Like there's been times where I played a couple games. You'll see in my No Money Spent video, I got the Plat 1. As of right now, I'm 1 game away from falling back into Gold 1. Let me tell you, the 1 in 9 run I just went on, the anger that I had to bottle up to not show on camera, unmatched. And if I wasn't stuck to my desk streaming, I would have just put it down and not touched it for a week, right? And I think a lot of people would benefit from that. I always talk about Battlefield now recently. I've had a ton of fun with it. That's just one example. I always say Civilization is my comfy game. Try that. Pokemon, like it's just like anything. Video games should be the thing that you take your stress out of your normal life to do. And if it adds to it, Get it out of there. If you're under 30, hell, even if you're 25 or you're in college, I don't care. It's still going to work the same. If it adds any minute of stress to your life, get it out of there. It's not worth it. I promise you. I don't care if I lose viewers because people start listening, but I'd rather be honest than selfish about like, hey, make sure you still watch, right? So I hate that everyone is talking about spaghetti code and that being used as a cop out. As an engineer, if there was an issue and I said, oh, the reason for that is because we've just been building programs on top of old programs and we have broken the old program, which has caused your issue, I would have been fired. How are the EA developers able to utilize that as an excuse, then take weeks off or not even fix the issue at all? I think when I explain the way that I've seen it operate in the background over the 7 years that I've been a part of the game changer or design, whatever you want to call it, right? Where I've been able to be in contact with developers, right? And I used to have very close relationships with developers that are no longer there. I'm talking like I consider them friends, and we would talk all the time. Um, I don't want it to sound like I'm making an excuse. I'm simply explaining. I don't think that given the state of the game and the things that are broken, that we should accept the fact that the marketplace is still the same format from NHL 16, or the fact that there is clearly a data leak happening in the game where if you have it on for more than an hour, you can't switch menus or change abilities without the game lagging significantly because the data in the background to run the UI is just leaking all over the place. And you have to close out the game. That is not acceptable. It just is what it is. That is what it is. When it comes to the cop out, here is what I want to explain. I always call them the yacht owners, right? I always say, man, this issue's big enough that the guys in the yachts have to step off and come back on. That's when you know trouble's brewing, when change is going to happen. The guys in the yachts control everything. They get in the board meeting and they say, hey, what do you got for NHL 26? And they've got to come up with, or 27, they've got to come up with something that is going to have those, however many people, give the thumbs up. That's it. That's all that matters. Not the player base, whatever. Like, they will take it into account, and I'm sure they have a whole quality assurance team that they go and look, and they have a big forum that they look at. But they make the decisions on that, and then they have a year. That is the issue. If they operated like any sort of normal other video game that is not a yearly sports title, hell, even Call of Duty has 2 developers. The reason why Call of Duty comes out every year is because they switch off developers. I believe it's Activision and Treyarch. I'm not a Call of Duty guy, so I'm mixing that up, but that's what happens. Like, they literally just switch off so that they can have a full 2-year cycle to build a new game, right? In sports games, they don't get that. They have to release a game in a 1-year time frame. And I want you to think about every other good video game that has come out and think if they could have released the same thing or better in a year. From my time growing up, Halo, no shot they'd come up with Halo in a year. Like, they just wouldn't. And the difference was an incredible change. This is the one thing I don't feel bad for because they charge full price, right? Like, that's where it gets me. Like, they don't have the same resources of FIFA. Why the hell are we paying the same price as FIFA? But because we will. The issue is they have a list of things they want to get done. They put them into importance. The board, whoever, says, this is what we're going to do. Like, sure. Like, that's the big one. Yeah. And then the producers, they go through and they check off the big ones that they can. And the AP change and whatnot, that getting fixed is just out of reach. Or the fact that we still can't edit how our face-off is at the beginning of the game, just out of reach. And it sucks. The quality of life things are bad. They can't tear down the game and then remake it in a year. It is impossible. So, like, as an engineer, let me ask you this. You have 1 year to remake the game that you've got with the same resources that allows you to make a new game without tearing down the UI, the code of which the game is built upon, right? And how would that be done? I don't know because I'm not a coder. I really don't know. And I don't know what that would look like because if they were to do that, I would assume there'd be no new back-of-the-box feature. And that's what the yacht guys need. They need something marketing flashy to sell to all the casuals that really don't care about the game. But if they see some crazy trailer, okay, that looks sick. Like, the hardcores know, like, that's not really changing anything. And I just don't know how it's done. I don't. Again, I don't think it's a cop-out. Or, I mean, I don't think I list it as, like, that being acceptable, by the way. I don't. It's just the reality. Sports video games as a whole, from when I was a child, is built upon an archaic format that makes no sense. It is only yearly based because it was yearly based 30 years ago. And every year when video games were brand new, graphics changed a ton, memory changed a ton, consoles actually showed a crazy graphical jump. Game looks exactly the same. They've maxed out the capacity for graphics and how things work really on the consoles. They don't look any different, right? So now you're having to change things at the margins and to come up with these grandiose new things that, for the most part, we don't really want. As sports gamers, as we get older, we just want, like, the very minute details. We want to go into franchise mode and have our players selected for the All-Star game and then compete in the skills competition. Think of how dumb that sounds and how awesome that would be. As you know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't work anymore. And this format of yearly based stuff, I don't know how you fix it, man. I don't. NHL is not big. If you were to look at the earnings of NHL, FIFA's 80% of EA Sports. Madden is the other 10. And honestly, 15 in total. Madden and college football probably makes up 15. So then you've got 5% that makes up F1, UFC, PGA, NHL. If you were running a business, what would you do if people are still buying the game and playing it at the same rates year over year? Because they are. That's the problem. They are. We are. We're still playing at the exact same rate. So I don't know. It's always a heated debate, and like I said, it's unacceptable. I just don't know what is actionable. So that was a long rant, and I apologize. But anyways, hope you enjoyed Coffee and Chel. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Coffee and Chel, as well as week 2 of the face-off of it. My God, it's felt like this has been like 3 weeks long, but hopefully we get a new Crosby card, Nylander maybe, something fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.